This is Cracking On With The Sun. I'm back.
I'm
back. Here. And there's a lot of speculation that I was over in the villa. I went over there, did speak to Maya Jama, and then got too scared to go in because look at her. She's beautiful. How could you possibly compete with that? No, I had a couple of days off, but thank you for the people who stood in, which was lovely. I was still listening, obviously. What have I missed then?
Well, the first thing that you've missed is we all learned that Anton makes the iced coffees in a cocktail shaker. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know whether you saw that on Unseen Bits, but basically I thought I'd do a live taste test of my own Anton-inspired iced coffee. And I don't have enough muscles to shake it, is what I'm thinking. So we're going to have to get Anton on the pod when he's out to make me an iced coffee.
He is going to get some sort of brand deal because of this. Defo. I think you've started a trend now.
Speaking of starting a trend, what I love is that you've come back on the podcast and you have bringing with you a great chat.
Yes. So we've got a lot lined up this week, actually. It's going to be really good.
Oh, we love that. And you today have caught up with Samira.
Yes.
Absolute legend.
Isn't she? Yeah. She's a force to be reckoned with. And I think she's going to have a lot to say about all of we've got obviously Snog, Marry, Pie to talk about. Also, there's a lot of fans who are desperate for movie night to be brought forward. I'm not sure what the timings are normally, but because of Casa and Moore not being in this series, it's sort of thrown everything. We're not really sure when everything will come. It's a bit of a surprise. And basically a lot of fans want Georgia Harrison and her whole situation. Georgia Steele. You're getting them wrong. A lot of fans want Georgia Steele to her situation to be exposed on a movie night because that's when we kind of get to see the secret conversations that she's had with Tom behind Callum's back. So Samira could be the best person to speak to because of her own experience.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, well, I look forward to that later.
Yeah.
And speaking of Georgia Steele and her cover being blown, I've got news on that for you later. So stay tuned for that goss.
Let's kick off with the fallout from Snog, Marry, Pie then, because it was a brilliant episode, wasn't it, last night? It was a lot of time spent on that challenge, and it does kind of surprise me every single year when we watch this, like how much drama comes out of it. Because you're like, right, seriously, everyone knows it's a game. Just chill out, just like get on with it. But every single time we watch, there's people shouting at each other. There's real grudges made.
Yeah. What I thought was particularly good, and again shows that kind of ITV producer situation of reacting to the action of what's happening, is it felt quite early for Snog, Marry, Pie. But I think what that brought with it wasn't that really cringe situation of I can't really kiss anyone because
yeah,
it's the boys are like
they were well up for it.
do I kiss the girl I'm with or do I marry the girl I'm with?
What would you do?
I wouldn't want them to kiss someone else.
Yeah, that's same.
Like to me, there's kissing in challenges when it's unavoidable, but if you were like in like a pretty settled situation, which obviously none of them are really, but you know what I mean, like you'd rather they kissed you and then married your Bessie, or married like the villa sweetheart that needs a bit of a boost type situation.
Yeah, that would be a really nice shout.
But I also for me, it was Mitch very much getting his comeuppance. All of the girls,
it was the
just
Mitch
bang,
show.
bang, bang.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to stick up for Mitch because I really can't stand him. He's my worst Islander in there for sure. Because he's just hopeless, isn't he? Just kind of doesn't know what he's doing half the time. He's quite rude to everyone, and the way that he spoke to Liberty in their kind of exchange during that game, I thought wasn't nice. We want to have men be respectful to the women in there, no matter what. You've had these bust-ups, but we've had a couple of occasions, even Chris, I don't think he spoke well to Arabella at all.
Oh my gosh.
And that was really disappointing.
It was awful. As I said yesterday, never mind Oscar, Barbie, it's more Ofcom. Awful. Like really,
this
really
is why they pay you the big bucks, isn't it?
So nasty, not just rude, nasty.
No, totally. I really thought Chris ventured into that, and a lot of people have said he was up there as a front runner to maybe win the show. And then since that chat with Arabella and how rude and nasty he was, he's gone down in everyone's estimations. Mitch, there's something amusing sometimes about what he says, but I just don't think he's that likeable. But then last night, I felt like Liberty has just over-egged this whole Mitch situation. He's been really clear from the off that he's not interested. And she keeps going back for more. And then she's kind of telling him off and got all of her pals to like pie him. And I don't know, it was a little bit unfair, I thought.
Yeah. So here I have 3 theories on this.
Whoa, okay.
Are you ready?
Right, yeah, ready.
The first theory is, as discussed, she is just in deep on that dick sand. She has just completely fallen for Mitch. We've all been there. Like, we just sort of lose the ability to hear what we're being told, even if someone is being very clear with us, just because we're like, oh, but he did kiss me in bed. Oh, but, you know, he did hold my hand that one time. So that's theory number 1. Theory number 2, she's over-egging the pudding. You know, she knows that on her series, that female empowerment, speak your truth, etc., just work really well. And so it's been easy for her to fall back into that role. Theory number 3, stuff's happened that we've not seen.
Ooh, okay.
And maybe, you know, there's a lot more on the side of Mitch. We've seen Mitch telling her, but what have we not seen? So, you know, I think all of those 3 things could be true at the same time.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the middle one I'm sort of going more towards. For some reason, I think she had quite rehearsed lines in that challenge last night of what she wanted to say to Mitch to put him down and become this really female empowered person. But at the same time, her actions have been the complete opposite, and there has to be a point where she goes, hang on, this act that I want to put on and carry on from my other series, I've actually got to action it. I can't just talk about it. I can't just talk about female empowerment and not going after this F-boy and all of this, because it's not, she's doing the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And the shame about it is that she's so good at advice. So she talks to Kaz and she really builds her up, and they've got such a lovely friendship, don't they? I feel like it's like us. It's like girls who get on and they're not jealous of each other and they want each other to do well.
Yeah.
And I think with Kaz, the way that she takes that advice, she does try and like actually enforce it. Liberty, no. She just she just wants to do her own thing and make all these mistakes.
I know. It's hard to see now who could pull her out this situation, because I think that's what it will take. It will take someone coming in, being all for her, and just as I say, dragging her out of this slump in a way. And I cannot think of a man in the Love Island alumni,
as in a bombshell, who's going to come in. Yeah.
Who would be her type, that she'd be their type. I
think she just closed herself off so quickly because of the Mitch situation that she didn't give anyone else a chance. And yet, in the game last night, we saw this very steamy snog between her and Chris.
Oh, yes.
And it's kind of not the first time that they've done this in challenges. It's as if they're like trying to see how it goes. And she jumped up on him and had her legs wrapped around him. And it was quite hot and steamy. And you do think, well, there must be something there if she's kind of done that a few times now.
Yeah.
So could something progress, or is that ship sailed?
I think that, I don't know whether you saw that moment with Chris and Sophie. Side note, Chris just needs to stop trying to pull Sophie now.
I know. He's given me the ick, I think, which I'm really disappointed in, because at the beginning, he just was that guy who was just making me laugh so much.
I know.
But I don't know, he's just, even pieing himself, didn't you feel like that was all a bit staged?
Someone said yesterday to me, wacky. It's sort of, he's the wacky one, and
but in a contrived wacky
Yeah.
way though. I don't think it's spontaneous, and that's what is giving me a bit of the, I want him to just relax a bit more and actually be himself. I don't think he's being himself, and I think all of the things he's projecting onto Arabella, being a game player, being disingenuous, is actually him. There's a bit of psychology there for you, because sometimes when you project onto others what you see in yourself.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I don't know. I just feel like he's still my favourite. I have such a soft spot for him. Okay. But I think that's because this is going to sound awful, but I just really like when people ask me about my favourite farmyard animal.
Yeah. Right. Remind me to talk to you about that later.
But you know what I mean? I think
You just like the spontaneous chat.
Yeah, in a world full of shit chat and how's your day, nonsense. And
what are you up to?
Where's your head at? What a delight to have someone ask you what your favourite farmyard animal is. Do you know what I mean?
What is it?
Like a proper brain break. Pigs, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, no questions asked.
So what do you think that it's completely over between Chris and Sophie now? Because I feel like that kiss that she shared with Chris last night was off the back of that horrendous speech from Josh. I mean, Josh...
Yeah, that was
Josh marrying Sophie and saying basically, like, we're getting on. It was pathetic.
But I think that came from a place of he does really like her. So he didn't really know what to say because he didn't want to be too keen, but he actually probably does have quite sensible feelings towards her. What I was thinking about before I got distracted about farmyard animals was Chris said to Sophie, like, he loved her body. And he was like, you've got great thighs. And that's why I think that Chris and Liberty just won't be a thing. Because Liberty's, she's curvy, she's shorter, petite, whereas Sophie's taller, that kind of thing. And I think that if you think about Chris's relationship history, like Maura's tiny.
Yeah. But I don't think Sophie's tiny, and that's what I think he was sort of saying in a way of like, she's got that, I think it is the perfect womanly figure, this sort of curvaceous,
athletic.
She's got a really big bum, she's just beautiful. And I think that's what he was trying to get across. But I don't know, like, if guys mention your thighs, you're a bit like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I wasn't sure how she was going to take it.
Yeah, it sort of like airs on the side of childbearing hips, doesn't it? When you want to be like, thanks. Bless him. Not when he's being nasty, though.
No,
exactly. I should say.
Exactly.
So, like you say, what we all want is movie night for this Georgia situation. I saw last night on Twitter, everyone was very disappointed that we didn't get more of the comeuppance for Georgia Steele. But I think it's going to be worth the wait. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think we've had a bit of a teaser now, haven't we, of Tom telling Josh what's really going on, and Josh is not going to keep that to himself. I loved all the promises last night of, I won't tell anyone. No, absolutely not. Secret safe with me. But, when more than one person knows, it's not a secret anymore. No. So I do see that all going into a really bad direction for Georgia, because I don't think that she has a leg to stand on.
No.
I mean, pulling Tom for a chat and being as flirty as that, she was definitely marking her territory with Molly. And then it's the other behaviour, isn't it? I think a lot of people have been really sort of upset about this from her last night. She's going around telling everyone that she can't see herself having sex with Callum, which I think for a guy must be like...
It's the ultimate burn.
Yeah, and it's really friend zoning.
Yeah.
And yet we have this camera flash over to them in bed, and it's a very, very saucy kiss. Really getting into it. So you feel like, well, make your mind up, Georgia S.
Yeah, I know. Like, the thing is, we've all been in situations where we're potentially thinking, this guy's better for this, that guy's better for that.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's the kind of two-facedness of it. In that, on the one hand, she's saying to Tom, I fancy you more. I can't see myself sleeping with Callum. Cut to the hideaway, where she's then saying to Callum, I wouldn't want to be here with anybody else but you, dressed up in her white sexy lingerie from the cupboard, and you think, whiplash.
I think she sees Callum as the safe option because he has been quite all in. I mean, when he was kind of trying to get back with Molly, I mean, he wasn't trying at all, but he was leaving the door open.
Yeah.
He wasn't speaking to anyone else, had no other chats, no other kisses.
Yeah.
And he's been really like that with Georgia as well. Yeah. He seems quite a loyal person. Like, once he's in, he's in. But when he's not in, he's off with 16 other girls. So it's like a bit of a contrast.
Yeah. Got great news for you.
Okay.
Tonight, Georgia comes unstuck. Callum finds out what she's been saying about him.
Okay, perfect.
And as you can imagine, all hell breaks loose. So the thing that I find really interesting here is the person that's flung into the middle of this argument and goes for it is Molly.
Brilliant. Because she's just fed up of Georgia stealing all of the men that she likes,
So basically it all kicks off between Georgia and Molly. So what I don't know exactly at this point from my villa spies, who have been incredibly teasy this morning and only telling me half of what's gone on, is exactly what they're rowing about. So is it because Molly's sick of Georgia stealing her men, or is it because she's defending Callum?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think everyone says that she's like having a go at Callum all the time, but I actually think she's been really good. You know, even if he's kissing someone else, she's in a challenge, she'll like clap, or, I mean, I wouldn't have the time of day for him.
No, I know.
After what he's done.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's going to be really juicy tonight with all of that. And then obviously the other thing that happens tonight, which the Sun revealed earlier today, is that it's all change in the villa.
This is a massive shock, actually, because we're kind of getting used to these characters, and it feels as if, you know, like you think about Lewis and Demi, that feels like years ago that they left. So we've had this kind of period of time of just like them all together. Everything's kind of going swimmingly. We've had a couple of arguments, but actually everyone's getting on.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen next?
Yeah. So 4 islanders dumped from the villa. So we're not going to see all of that.
That's a massive amount, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like pretty much half.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see all of that happen tonight. It will be phased out, but the 4 people have now left the villa. They left last night, and we're getting 2 new bombshells.
Yay!
So, question for you. Who do you want gone and who do you want in?
I wonder how, because the vote was about your favourite couple, wasn't it? So that means that it could potentially be the couple, 2 couples get removed, but they also change it up, I guess, depending on who they want to stay, the producers, and who they want to go. Whether you can, the people around the fire pit can choose between a couple, save the boy or the girl.
Yeah.
So I would get rid of Mitch because
yeah,
just complete hopelessness. And if Liberty doesn't back up our ideas, I would say her too, because she needs to get into this Love Island villa experience. She's not done it so far. She's been crying over Mitch. It's time to up her game.
Yeah. I want Mitch out just to save Georgia Harrison from herself. Because
she has really bad taste in men. And, I mean, full sympathy, but it's a tough one.
The only thing that I was trying to think in Georgia Harrison's defence, because I'm such a fan of her. She's so switched on. She's done amazing work outside around all of her sort of revenge porn laws and so on. I don't want to think that she's just falling into that same trap. So what I was thinking, you know, in that kind of, for your friends, you can rationalise anything and argue anything else away. She said to us before she went into the villa, she's going to go back to all her campaigning. This is just like a little sabbatical. She's just going to have a little fun 6 weeks. Maybe she's like, it doesn't matter that Mitch is an absolute moron because he's just my little holiday fling and he's fit.
That's true.
Like he is.
Yeah.
He's attractive.
Is he? Yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's not ugly.
Yeah.
But he just seems so immature in comparison to her because she's just this really powerful, strong woman, isn't she? You know, everything that she's been through in the past couple of years. And of course, she's in there. And in the meantime, her ex-boyfriend, Stephen Bear, who's been in prison because of revenge porn to do with Georgia. And she was sort of behind this campaign. She's been in Parliament. She's done so much.
Yeah.
And he's come out 11 months into like a 21-month sentence and has come out while she's been in South Africa. And I did actually feel like I just really hope that that's not on her mind and she's just having a lovely time, having a holiday romance, you know, enjoying it with Mitch, not taking it too seriously because she's been through it and she needs to have fun.
Maybe that's why she has almost intentionally gone for your favourite saying, young, dumb and fun.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's like, she's maybe not ready to commit.
Yeah.
And so she goes for someone who she knows will absolutely not commit.
Who needs a psychologist? We have got this absolutely mapped out.
I feel like we really are great. Did you do psychology at school or anything?
No.
I feel like we would be great at it.
Yeah, you know, there was a stage when I was dating, not that anyone cares, when I was very much not wanting a boyfriend. And I was like, oh, that's why I keep going for all of these boys, like one that lived in a van and things like that. Because I was like...
Your taste isn't much better than George's.
No, but I was like, I'm doing this because I don't want a boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know, I'm perfectly happy dating this guy. But so anyway, maybe this is George's version of the man in the van.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of that in the villa where people can't. It's so hard to force it, isn't it? You either fancy someone or you don't. I really struggle with that. I really struggle to if you just see them in a certain life to move past that. Yeah. Anton, what is your thoughts about him? Firstly, I want to mention him falling in the pool. Was honestly, I've howled with laughter about that. Him stepping back and it was all kind of like, I'm so smooth. Next thing, he's having to do a flip backwards into the pool because he's lost his balance and there he's going to go in. Aww. Hilarious. And kind of sums him up. Yeah. He's just perfect. The other part of last night for me was just watching him be proposed to so many times. Everyone saying you're the perfect man. Just not for me. Why do we do that with nice guys who would be so lovely, loyal, kind to us, and yet we don't fancy them? Yeah. What is your psychology behind that?
None of them are actually ready for a boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Because if they were, the light would have flicked in their heads. Mm-hmm. But do you know what I think is going to happen? Is a repeat of what happened in his first series, which is, it always felt to me like Belle came in knowing that everybody loved Anton and went for Anton. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have a bombshell come in and go for Anton. Mm-hmm. Probably just because they know he's so popular.
A lot of people are accusing Tyler of doing that with Hannah. There's been like a lot of really bad negative stuff towards Hannah, which is the first time that I've seen that because she's such a popular character normally. But we've been told she's getting a lot of abuse. She's someone who was actually on track to sort of win it, potentially be in the final. But Tyler setting his sights on her, and a couple of things that she said. Did you see the outcry about her when they went on their date and she'd bit into I think he said it was a camel, but it was beef. And she was just not having it. She's kind of spitting it out and saying this is disgusting. And people have been really offended because that's, the South African cuisine and she should appreciate it and she shouldn't be slugging it off. So they really turned on her. And it was a double whammy of that and people saying that Tyler has purely gone for Hannah because he knows she's a fan favourite and they're going to get all the way to the final.
Yeah. I mean, I can't...
I'm taking that in.
Well, it's hard. Sometimes I think we are all guilty of like diving too deep into something and that could definitely be a thing.
It was just the shock of, I think Tyler and Hannah people didn't see coming, but they seem to get on so well. And they look like they have great kisses.
I agree.
And you mentioned Belle, who we had on the podcast last week, and she was sort of, if you haven't already watch that episode, please watch back because she was brilliant. She was talking about how she's seen a different side to Anton and she's not really buying the nice guy act. And there have been people saying, just dropped my pen. There have been people saying that there is a situation where you're, I guess, looking at him as this, is he the refined, it's like a bit of redemption from his series. Him having that massive big spat with Molly, May, and then he's ended up going in and being like this Mr. Nice guy. Everything's brilliant, everything's great. He's the perfect husband material. And a lot of people saying, is this all completely put on? And according to Belle, she does think that perhaps it's all a bit of an act.
I mean, devil's advocate, because we are all about that balance here on Cracking On.
For legal reasons, mainly. Don't want to get in trouble.
Don't cancel me. Since their series, Molly May has got engaged, had a baby, so much has happened. Maybe Anton has genuinely just grown up and done work on himself. And
yeah, actually, maybe he's been seeing us privately on the side for some therapy chat because he has grown, and a lot of the girls have been saying, do you know what? Like, fair play to his therapist because she's done a brilliant job. He or she has done a brilliant job on him. He really has gone through the work that he needed, and he seems to be this perfect person. But then I feel for him because he's now thinking, well, what was the point of all of that? Because I'm still, no one fancies me.
Yeah. Bless him. I tell you what, I think we should hear from Samira because in her year, she was someone who struggled to find a connection. She was coupled up with a good few people, wasn't she? Mm-hmm. I think she ended up leaving with the guy, Freddie, I believe, that she was with in after Casa Amor, and that didn't pan out. So I reckon she's the perfect person to hear from about what it's like being in that villa and not finding love.
I pretty much know all of them. Some of them I haven't met. Who's in there? I can't think. Yeah, Georgia still. I love Kaz. Kaz is great. I've met Liberty as well. But yeah, mainly I last saw Georgia in summer. So
Okay. And how do you think she's coming across? She's kind of the main storyline at the moment. We've got this
she
love
it is
triangle.
Georgia Love Island. Yeah. Um, I think G is like she's such a flirt. Like
Mm.
flirty girl. And I think it was interesting seeing Tom come in because I was actually there when they met on the holiday that we were at. So I was like, actually kind of nice to see them kind of rekindle.
Mm.
I think she's definitely more leaning towards Tom, like without a doubt. But I think Callum is stunning, so I don't know why. But
She's a lucky girl, isn't she? The
yeah,
two of them to choose
she's
from.
got to pick up a good bunch. Um, but yeah, I think I hope she makes the right decision because at the minute, I mean, it's looking a bit like swayy, and I hope that she like kind of picks one guy and goes for it because she wouldn't want to look like you've got your hands in all the jars.
Yeah, so we're hearing tonight that there's a bit of a bust up between Molly and Georgia. And things get quite heated. It's the kind of the fallout from Snog, Marry, Pie. And we know that he knows more about the situation than anyone else. So we're wondering whether it's him who kind of goes and spills the beans
Oh
to
yeah,
Callum. Because she has to remember that she's being filmed. We know, we've seen her and heard her
I
pull Tom
know.
to the terrace. So how is she going to wriggle her way out of that one, do you think?
I think she's probably just going to say that she's had a thing with Tom before in the past. And I think probably maybe the bust up might be that Molly's thinking that, oh, she's playing Callum and she might be protecting Callum. Um, but I think she's probably going to say that she's had a thing with Tom in the past. And I mean, it's recorded, it's on TV. I don't know what she's going to say because it's all there. I just don't know how she's really going to get out of it. But she always kind of does get out of a bit of bad situation. She's very good with her words.
Were you upset when the whole situation with Toby happened?
Oh, you know what? I wasn't upset at all. I don't think Georgia and Toby are like meant to be at
Mm.
all. But I think it was like a little thing that they had outside, and then when you see somebody try it, it doesn't work, and it's got a little bit bitter.
Yeah.
I think between them. But yeah, ultimately she's gonna have to make the right decision.
Well, what do you think's holding her back with Tom? Because there was a stage where she could have maybe just pursued him more, but she's kind of kept him at the
Yeah.
side. What do you think that's about?
Well, I'm not sure of the ages of both of them. I'm guessing Callum is older, right?
Callum's older, yeah. There's quite a big age gap, isn't
20,
there?
yeah, she's got a real thing about ages, like she really has. That's all she does, talk about that a lot. And I think probably what's holding her back with the Tom thing is that maybe he's too young for her and she can't see him being the man that she wants. Maybe with Callum, he's a bit older, he's kind of done his soul searching in Bali or whatever he's done, and he's come back and now he wants something serious. I think that's probably what's probably holding her back.
Do you think that Tom's ready to settle down? Because he broke up with Sammy and he's had so much history with all these girls in the villa. He's kind of packed it all into quite a short space of time.
I know. I actually, when I met Tom, I was like, nah, he is the nicest guy.
Mm.
Like, he's so nice. He's actually really gentle, like a gentle giant. And I definitely think he is probably ready to meet someone. I think when people say they're not ready already, I think, if it's the right person, right time. But I really like Tom. I think he's so nice. Like when I met him, I was like, yeah, he's a real gent.
Lovely, isn't he? Do you think that maybe he is holding back because he's a bit unsure if Georgia's playing a game? Because during that challenge, the Snog Marry Pie last night, you saw him be confused because she was giving him the eye, but then
I
she
think
didn't kiss him.
I know. I think he's probably just kind of keeping his options open. I think he actually does quite like Molly, a little bit, and I was obviously attracted to her and stuff. Molly is beautiful, so I think he's just obviously wary at what's being said, and rightly so, to be fair.
You have spoken out before about the race row on Love Island, and I think you kind of do
Yeah.
see it again this time because Kaz is a black woman in there and she's not getting anyone who is maybe attracted to her or she's attracted to. Why do you think that keeps happening every single series?
I mean, I really don't know. I think it's a shame that it's like such a thing, because honestly, Kaz is one of the most beautiful people in there. So ideally, there should be loads of guys running for her. I mean, we don't know what we've seen. I mean, I saw her kiss Anton yesterday, and that kind of looked a bit fiery. I was like,
That came out of
okay,
nowhere, didn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I love that. But I think I really don't know. I think they just need to bring in someone that is going to be full for Kaz and just not really like got their eyes everywhere.
Yeah. It's just because she's a stand-up one because everyone else is blonde,
I
blonde
know,
blue eyes.
I
That she's
know,
just
blonde, blue
completely
eyes.
different look. And she needs
Yeah,
someone who's going in there who she is their type absolutely, and it's not an ex-boyfriend. I think it's unfair. I think she's
yeah,
been through one of the toughest journeys in there. So we need to talk about you and everything that you've done after Love Island because you've been one of the success stories. Everything that you've done, it's as if you wanted to be different, stand out from everyone else, and sort of pursue your own journey and not just do more reality TV. So you've just
yeah,
released your debut EP, Dance Floors and Drama Volume 1. And then you've had your singles actually play on Love Island.
yeah.
That is
Loads of them.
surreal.
It's fun, isn't it? Like it just kind of watching it and you're like, oh my gosh, wait, I was on this show, and like because it was a while ago, you kind of not forget, but it just feels like a distant memory.
Yeah.
And then you kind of remind yourself, hold on, I was on this show, and then now they're playing my songs. It's a nice feeling.
And the reaction must be amazing when it does get played and fans notice.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, it's a full circle moment, which it is, and it's just lovely to kind of have that support.
Oh, I love Samira. Do you know what I love is that there's really so many of these islanders that just go on to actually do amazing things, like her singing, her acting. Queen.
Yeah, she's an absolute queen, isn't she? So you've spotted something from this series that is missing.
Yes. So when we say spotted, what I actually feel is there's just been hardly any boys and girls working out in the gym. Now, let's assume they are working out in the gym because, I mean, muscles, flat tummies, bums. But why aren't we seeing them?
It's such a shame. I miss it.
I know.
But we are seeing that. We saw that strange clip. I think it was last night's show where Chris was like pushing down Josh's legs.
Oh yeah, they were doing like leg raise.
Yeah, and I thought, well, yeah, it's weird that they're not doing that actually in the gym with all of the equipment they normally have. So we're going to have to find out about this and report back because we're missing it. I like to see them working out.
I know.
I feel slightly guilty sat there watching Love Island not working out when they're doing it, but watching them all sweaty and love it.
Do you think that there's like a claw in the All-Star clause?
A claw.
A claw.
That's a claw.
In the All-Stars contracts that like they don't want that kind of thing shown.
That's so interesting.
Or do you think that Love Island bosses, right, deep diving here, you know how we all said the reason why potentially winter doesn't sit as well with us is because we all feel guilty about the fact that they look gorgeous and we're all feeling a bit January.
Yeah.
Maybe they sort of almost took a decision to not show that, to not make us feel bad about ourselves. What do you think?
Great shout.
In the Love Island thought chamber, what's it called, where they get people in the room and talk to them about things?
Like a think
like market
tank.
research. Yeah, like market research. Well, anyway, bring it back. We want more gym.
So tonight, have you got any tea for us about what to expect from tonight's show?
Yes.
Because we know there's going to be a fallout from Snog, Marry, Pie. It's inevitable because we didn't really see anyone. We saw like them shouting. The Toby and Georgia thing was a bit wild, actually, wasn't it? Then them shouting at each other across when it was basically because no one had sort of pied each other. They'd forgotten about each other, whatever.
Yeah. So basically tonight, the main thing is going to be obviously this huge row between the girls after Georgia Steele is found out. Do you know
Are you
what I
team
think?
Molly, team Georgia?
I'm team viewer. I think it will be.
How does it feel sat on that fence over there?
Oh, lovely.
flick.
These splinters. Do you know what I think is really interesting here about these things? Of if you want to try and keep a secret, you need both parties involved in the secret on board. And the problem here was Tom. It doesn't want it, does
I felt
he?
him really backing off from Georgia last night,
Yeah.
especially during the game where he sort of made a point saying that, have you seen her eyeing me? Like, what's she doing? And like rolling his eyes. And I thought, well, what's happened? He was quite up for the terrace, wasn't he? And he's been really enjoying the flirts, but something's changed, whether it's because he's grown closer to Molly, and they do seem to be. There was a lot of kissing in bed between him and Molly, but there was with Georgia and Thingy anyway.
Yeah. Thingy.
Sorry,
Poor
I can't
Callum
remember.
has been reduced to Thingy.
I feel like there is something about Callum that's just a bit unforgettable, in a way.
You mean forgettable?
Sorry, forgettable. Yeah, unforgettable is. I'm going to go for Tom with that one. No, I think Callum is. There's something about him with his relationship with Georgia which feels a little bit forced. Even from his side, because I think he just saw it not happening with Molly, and it was like, right, okay, who's next?
Yeah.
And Molly predicted that, didn't she?
Yeah, I agree. Really interested to see what happens anyway. And then the other big thing is obviously we're going to find out the results of the viewer vote about the couples. We're going to be saying goodbye to 2, potentially just 1 tonight, and then we'll see the other one played tomorrow. And
it's a lot to pack into this episode.
I know. And then also, keep an eye on the sun.co.uk, because tonight we will also be revealing who one of the bombshells is going in. And
it's a real good one. I think it's going to stir up a lot.
I'm obsessed with this person.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry to be so unbearably teasy here, but keep an eye on the Sun website and you'll be able to catch up with that news later. And I can't wait for us to dive into the action again tomorrow morning.
Yes,
welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
See you tomorrow.